So you want to play the best exclusive game available on your Xbox Series X. But within 47 minutes, you keep sliding all over the place, flying off the track, and most frustratingly, won't stop crashing into goddamn walls. I'll admit it, driving in Forza Horizon 5 is really tough at first, but with a little help, you'll be winning races and clearing the map like the best of them. So to help expedite the learning process, here are a few quick tips and pieces of information so you too can become a Horizon superstar. Okay, here's the deal. Tip number 1 for you in this video is to comprehend that this game is not Mario Kart, nor is it Need for Speed. Like in real life, you just can't try and drift at 170 miles an hour around a corner and expect it to work out. Both those games are designed so you almost never have to remove your finger from the gas pedal. Forza Horizon 5, while by no means a full-on simulation racer, does require you to drive and turn with much more care. Because of this, having full control over your car is necessary in order to not only compete, but to be able to finish races without crashing on almost every turn. That's why my biggest tip for you that I haven't seen mentioned in any other guides for this game is to play with manual shifting turned on. Now look, I get it. The popular racing games outside of Forza have mostly been Need for Mario Burnout 64, but I'm telling you, to get the most out of a game as refined as Forza Horizon 5, or any capital R real racing game for that matter, you gotta play with manual shifting. Not being able to manually downshift your car means it's almost impossible to throw the cars back out for turns without the use of the e-brake, and not being able to manually upshift means you're not optimally getting the car back up to top speed after slowing down for a corner. Believe me when I tell you that the jump from automatic to manual shifting will feel like a completely different game once you switch over. Now, manual shifting might seem like a Herculean task to learn, but you'll get the hang of it after only about 15 to 20 minutes of play. You use the X and B buttons on an Xbox pad to downshift and upshift respectively. Pay attention to the tachometer surrounding your speed in miles per hour. This, along with the current speed of your car, will tell you whether to either up or downshift. If the tachometer is revving up to about here, that's going to be the sweet spot to shift up to continue a smooth increase in speed. If you're driving in a high gear but the car is greatly slowed down, the car will still run, however it will take much longer to get your car back up to speed, which is where you'll want to downshift to help improve the acceleration of your car. If you listen to the roar of the engine and have controller vibration turned on, you can even hear and feel when it's time to change gears. While manual shifting requires more inputs and focus from you, shifting will quickly become second nature to you, and the amount of extra control you have over your car will be a huge boon in every single race you take on. Not to mention the game also gets way more fun, by the way. Speaking of races, let's actually get into some. When doing races in Forza Horizon 5, you will see a big blue guiding line along the road that the race is on. For people new to racing games, this is not just used to help you navigate the courses while keeping your eyes on the road. This denotes the racing line, or most optimal way to race around the course. While you're learning the game, stick to the racing line. You'll notice that the AI rigorously sticks to the line as much as possible, so follow suit and deviate only when it's really time to make a pass. The racing line also tells you how fast you should be going by its color. Blue means that you're good to go and maintain your current speed. The color will fade from blue to yellow and then to red, which will tell you need to lay on the brake and slow down for the upcoming bend or corner. Now, as you play the game, you will slowly develop your own racing style, but here's what's helped me stick to the racing line. There are multiple ways you have to prepare your car for a turn. For slight turns, just taking your finger off the gas throttle for a second is all it takes, but for real corners, you're going to have to slow your car down. If you see the color of the line change back from yellow or red to blue, your speed is slow enough to cleanly follow the racing line through the turn. You might be someone like me when you first play this game and think that you need to drift around every corner like it's Daytona USA or Ridge Racer Type 4. In Forza Horizon 5, it's the exact opposite. You actually want to avoid going into a hard drift as much as possible. This is because the excess wheel spinning can really slow your car down, allowing for the drivers behind you to pass you. And there's no comeback mechanics like nitrous boost or item stop you get back to the front of the pack either. The act of turning in Forza Horizon 5 is a balancing act between speed meeting clean maneuverability. A lot about turning comes from good instincts, which will grow as you play more of the game. But making sure you're liberally using your brakes around corners and sticking to the race line will help improve those instincts much faster. There are 4 primary racing disciplines in Forza Horizon 5. Road racing is your classic, officially sanctioned circuit and sprint races, which primarily take place on asphalt. Street races are similar, however, they are always sprint events and have regular NPC cars driving as hazards that need to be avoided and accounted for. Dirt racing is just what it sounds like, racing primarily on dirt and off-road environments. And cross-country races are a mix of dirt and road racing with a lot more off-road hazards, like having to drive through water and whatnot. Now, while a car is only as good as its driver, that isn't to say that your car choice isn't going to affect your ability to win races. The good news is in Forza Horizon 5, the AI is always balanced to use cars of a similar class to whatever car you bring to an event, meaning that in single player, it's viable to win races with whatever you want whenever. That's not to say that the car you picked might not be suited for the race at hand. For dirt and cross-country races, you want to pick a vehicle that can handle the off-road with ready tires and all-wheel drive to keep their grip against nature's race courses. Meanwhile, rear-wheel drive drive cars are king for street and road races. You want to spend some time with the upgrade system in this game, because driving a stock car will leave you with a lot to be desired. Thankfully, every car in the game can be upgraded with new parts to greatly improve their performance capabilities. The class system is ranked into D, C, B, A, S1, S2, and X classes. While it might seem like a good idea to upgrade everything close to X, I'd recommend holding off on blowing your credits on that, as typically raising some low-tier beater more than 2 classes will leave the car being tough to control, and it still won't be able to compete with the better cars that just fall naturally in the higher classes. When you find a car you love, it's all about finding the right class that it can stay competitive in. For example, my beloved Ford Bronco is a stock mid-B tier car, but with some upgrades, I've managed to turn it into a top of A-class contender. The higher class races tend to be harder because the AI are also using these superior cars as well, which is why I recommend learning the ropes on lower tiers like B and A. At the in-game home menu, you're able to upgrade and tune these cars to your exact racing style and liking. Car tuning in Forza Horizon 5 is very complicated, and instead of doing a poor job explaining something I really don't even know, I'll direct you to a video in the description that does a way better job providing you the basics and giving you an overview on how to manually tune your car once you feel like you've mastered the basics. It's a genuine challenge trying to understand this stuff, especially since I'm not very knowledgeable about cars in real life either, but it's rewarding to put in the work in to make a car that's not only has awesome stats, but is also tailored to your driving style and making it really fun to drive because of that. However, I know for most of you watching this video, you just want to have some fun in Mexico, so here's the quick and dirty way to a competitively viable car. The first thing to do is check out some community tunes in this option here. You'll see a variety of tunes made by real people and how they compare to your car's current stats. From this menu, if you like a tune, you can select it and it will automatically buy and install the parts for you. The unfortunate drawback to community tunes is that you cannot alter any aspect of them, so if you don't like how much over or understeer a car has, that's just too bad. Alternatively, if you want to have a min-maxed A-class car for instance, but still want to have the ability to tune it later, you can select this option in the upgrades menu to have the game equip parts to get the car closest to the top of A-class without going over. This way you don't have to go through the tedious process of upgrading your car part by part, especially if you already don't really know what you're doing. Tuning is an aspect in Forza that you can engage in as much or as little as you desire, but it's important to get the cars that you love in your collection kitted out, especially if you want to stand a chance in any online races. Okay, before we end the video, here's some quick last-minute tips. You unlock the ability to fast travel by purchasing this property for 2 million credits. Get the story exhibitions done as soon as possible to start getting all other events and races to appear on the map. The rewind feature can rewind much further back than you think. You can use it to reset up your car in specific positions for open world challenges like drift zones and speed traps. And speaking of rewinding, I mainly like to use rewind to practice tight turns in races. Doing tight turns over and over will give you a good sense of when and how much you need to slow down your car to make it through, and inevitably you'll get to a point where you no longer need to have the rewind on at all. Challenge yourself by increasing the difficulty of the AI and turning on more of the difficulty modifiers. Some you won't even miss, and in turn it will make you more money from races. These race courses need to be learned. Don't be discouraged if you lose on your first race on a track. Course knowledge can better help prepare for knowing where hard turns are and what places in the track are optimal for passing. Staying in front of the AI is much easier than passing them. Once you are in first place, use the rearview mirror to see where second place is and block off their passes, as they don't challenge your position too much. And finally, go to the design and car paint screen and put on an anime girl decal on your car. It'll make it go 12 miles an hour faster. And that's all the tips I have for you in this video. I know a lot of these arcade sim racing games can come across as really intimidating if you're used to driving into other open world games like GTA or Far Cry. But once you learn the intricacies of it, I think you'll find the act of driving to be way more rewarding than anything found in those games. If you have a Forza tip that I didn't mention, please drop it in the comments below. And make sure to subscribe to Turnstyle for more guides, reviews, and other equally based gaming content. Take care.